Okay, good morning, team. This is Team Alpha of Accelerant Referrals, bringing you another exciting presentation from one of our star members. Peter Gibson is a Harry Norman Realtor, and he has over 40 years experience in the people business. Hotel, restaurant, travel, and convention management, corporate director of sales, owner of a catering business, owner of a travel consulting business, direct sales, MLM top earner, real estate investor, venture capitalist, world traveler, speaker, author, and creator of cross coaching. I don't know how you can stuff more into one description, but I think we just did. So without further ado, I'll turn it over to Peter.
Good morning, gentlemen. Thank you. Peter Gibson, yes, Harry Norman Realtors. So what I'm talking about today, I'm going to give you 7 pointers on how to help sell your home. 7 pointers. And the objective here is to make sure that you go under contract and avoid being under stress. Who wants to be under stress when they're selling their home? No, you want to be under contract. So there's 7 pointers. Those are 10, 5, 7. Okay, so what helps sell your home? Here are the words to think about. Conceive, deceive, relieve, receive, believe, weave, and leave. You shouldn't be surprised that those rhyme, because that's what I tend to do sometimes. So conceive. You've got to conceive a strong marketing plan with your professional agent. My wife, Isabel Gibson, and myself, Team Gibson, are the agents. And you've got to make sure that the listing that you're putting into the system not only has all of the verbiage together, but it also has all of the packaging, the curb appeal. Your home is now a marketed package. It's no longer your home, it's now your product. And you've got to make sure that your agents have a strong marketing plan. And it's not just these days about putting something onto the computer, because everybody can do that. We tend to target particular homes. If they're in particular areas, we'll target a particular clientele if they're in different price ranges, whether it's a $1.3 million home that we've sold last year or a $260,000 home. Depends on how it's marketed. Don't have time to go into the marketing details here, but make sure that the agents that you're working with have conceived a strong marketing plan. I talked about deceive. Well, don't. That's the key word. Don't deceive. Don't deceive in 2 ways. One is with photographs. I have gone onto many websites to look at other homes to show my buyers, and we've walked in there and felt deceived because the pictures have done exactly that. They tend to make the rooms look bigger. It's kind of like the old cereal package where you open it up and it's half empty. You feel deceived. So don't deceive with the pictures, and don't let your agents deceive with the words and the verbiage that they use, like luxury home, craftsman's home, grand entrance. If it's not grand, if it's not luxury, if it's not craftsman, then don't put those words in there. You're deceiving your potential buyers, both online and when they get there. Relieve. Well, you've got to relieve your potential buyers by making sure that maintenance and repair issues are done. It's going to save time and avoids having to negotiate the basic items that every homeowner should have maintained in the first place. A buyer will want to care for a home that he can see has been cared for. So relieve buyers of maintenance and repair issues. Receive. I talked about receive. Well, you've got to make sure that you are able to now set your home up so that it's ready to receive your potential buyers. Your agents have marketed this effectively so that other agents are now bringing their buyers in. Well, you've got to make sure that the home is ready. I walked into a home with some of my own buyers a few months ago, and they had the music on, they had cookies in the kitchen, the air conditioning was set right, all the lights were on, everything was ready, it was clean, it was prepared, there was no clutter, and even the landscaping was well maintained. People loved the home. The whole atmosphere was set up. So get your home ready to receive your buyers. You've got to believe that your agents that you set up the marketing plan with and everything else you've done together, you are working together with your agents. So you've got to believe that your property will over time sell. You must be patient. You may or may not be in a seller's market, but patience is required with your agent's marketing methods. Buyers may even take your house off the market by making an offer and then finding out later that they can't get financing. So now your house is back on the market. No fault of your agents, but you've got to believe that it will sell over time. I talked about weave. You've got to trust your agent now when you get to the negotiation process to be able to weave through that negotiation process. And this is where you use his or her background, her experience as a resource, and trust that she can weave you through the financial and legal timelines and requirements that will get you to the closing table. Part of our marketing message is that we coax and coach buyers or sellers to the closing table. So you have to believe that your agent can weave you through to those processes. So the final piece is leave, because if she's weaved you through the process, you're ready and able to leave your home because it's sold. And all that happened because you didn't want to be under stress, you wanted to be under contract. Peter Gibson, Isabel Gibson, Harry Norman Realtors.
I had to unmute my microphone. Very good, Peter. And so I have a couple of questions for you.
Okay.
So, I've been, a few people know this, but I was a part-time realtor when I lived in Maryland for a while.
You told me.
So what do you do? What do you do if a house has been sitting and the sellers are just kind of delusional about their own, pricing, et cetera, et cetera? What do you do in your marketing to keep that fresh if a house has been sitting for a while?
Well, there's a couple of strategies. You talked about the delusional seller whose pricing may be out of market, and there's two factors that most agents will repeat over and over. It's either price or condition, and if the marketing is working, and most of the time ours does, and you're doing everything you possibly can, then it's either one of those two elements. It's the price, which you then have to renegotiate, or it's the condition. We did have a house last year that was a beautiful home in a beautiful neighborhood, and the other homes around him were selling, and he was getting quite frustrated. But the pricing just didn't work. The market conditions have changed from the time when we first set up the pricing to what happened 2 months later. So we had to go in there and try to renegotiate the pricing. However, at the same end, because it was a fairly high-priced home, the condition, as much work as he'd done, and he did respond and cooperate, there were still some small items that even when you walked in, you noticed. And the psyche of the buyer was probably saying, whether he realized it or not, you walk in, you see that before you even entered the home, and you're thinking price, condition. So those are usually the two elements.
Okay. I have another question. You mentioned deceive and how people if it's not a luxury home or something, don't say that. Doesn't every realtor try and boost the property up as much as they possibly can and add things that are stretching it? If not, like you hear the word quaint, the house is quaint, it's a dog. But really, if you have little to work with, what do you do if you're not boosting up its qualities?
Well, I concur that to a degree, especially when people are going online, you have to use certain techniques to grab their attention. And we all know that marketing is about brief, fast, power words. So yeah, you have to be smart about using certain keywords that attract someone to stay on that site long enough to look further at what the house is about, and maybe they'll go see it. However, there's a balance. You've got to balance the strategy, because you're going to lose people. And again, the psychology of impact says that if I'm walking into a house that is marketed one way, and I see that staircase isn't so grand after all, and the rooms that you're talking about being quaint are actually small, then you've deceived somewhat, and you're going to lose that buyer.
Anybody else have any questions? All right. Well, thank you, Peter. Appreciate your effort as always, and you always put on a great show. So good job.
Thank you.